In thinking about infographics and what they should look like, think about that public health awareness poster that you see in medical facilities or in schools all the time. Think about the cover your cough posters or the washing your hand posters that are usually in public restrooms. That's a good example of an infographic. Usually it provides some kind of statistic or information substantiating why you should know this information. And then it provides you with just the basic information you need in order to either complete a task or to know how to handle the situation that you're facing. And so that's what we want this infographic to be. We're basically going to provide a brief overview, your 3 objectives, and then a conclusion or a summary. Imagine you're walking down the hallway and you see a poster board. You want anybody that's walking by your graphic to be able to see it. And within 5 seconds as they're walking by that graphic, to get the general idea of what your course is going to be like in order to draw that person towards the course, or to provide at least the bare minimum information about the course and the topic to that passerby. So that's the idea. It needs to be very quick and very concise. But it also needs to be visually appealing in that it needs to sort of jump off the wall and grab that passerby so that he or she can see it and be drawn into it and maybe spend a few extra seconds looking at your poster. All right, so after you've created your user account and you log out or log back in, it'll jump up with a continue screen similar to this, where I'm just going to click continue, jump right into the login screen. The basic login screen looks a little bit overwhelming. There's all kinds of options here, giving you insight into the different things that Canva can do. I mean, it's well beyond just an infographic generator, but you can work on resumes, posters, presentations. You can do social media, you could do videos, business cards, logo design, all sorts of things. You could see really cool mind maps and flowcharts that are down here. And then they give you all sorts of examples here of other types of images or graphic design that has been done either by users or that have been generated as examples. So you can kind of get an idea of the visual appeal here of kind of what we're looking for from this platform when we look at our infographic. From here, there's really 2 different areas where you could go into creating your infographic. So the first thing you can do is very simple, and that's just searching for a template. You can just come up here to this search box and type infographic and hit enter. And when you do that, you can see it's just giving you tons and tons of template examples of infographics. Now, one thing I will point out is that if you see this little crown image down here, that means it is a premium feature within Canva, and it is going to require you to have a pro account and have to pay for that. But all of these over here, for example, they don't have this little crown. And so there is no charge for those. Those are all part of the free package. And so you can see here, there's lots of good examples here that we can go with. Now, just as an example, this one here is a really good example of an infographic. Note how it really emphasizes the statistics. It uses big block letters, images, graphics, but really the statistics. I would say that for our purposes, we don't want this much text on ours. We would like to focus more on statistics and facts. But just as a quick example, that's kind of what we're looking for. And you can see you could use all sorts of different designs in order to accomplish this. Again, here, a really good infographic, probably too much text, but a really nice layout. The other thing, and here's where I'm going to walk you through it personally, is if we go to Canva AI. And if you over here on your left sidebar, you have a Canva AI button, and you also have a Canva AI button here at the top above your search bar. So if we click on Canva AI, it's going to bring you to this new screen, and it's going to basically be a search box similar to what we saw on the previous page. Now, since we're creating an infographic from scratch, I want to provide Canva with a little bit of background on what I want it to do in generating a infographic. So I'm going to click this plus button and I'm going to upload a file. What I want to upload is a version of my presentation that we created last week. So if I click over to that presentation, and here's a sample of a presentation that a student has done, and I can easily go up here to File, and click download, and then download it as a PDF document. It's going to download and then save that to your computer. Now, once it's downloaded, we can come over here and click the upload button, and it's going to pull up my file picker. And I am going to click on the file for my PowerPoint presentation here. And I'm just going to click open, and you can see here it's uploading that into Canva. Now, I also want to give it a few prompts onto what I would like it to do in generating the foundation for my infographic. So here's a prompt that I've had success with. Create an infographic based on the uploaded PDF, emphasize graphics, facts, and statistics while minimizing narrative. Format it based on an overview section, 3 objectives as presented in the PDF, and a summary. Include AMA-style citations, include a reference block based on the PDF. Now, once we put that in there, that is the directions for Canva AI to reference our presentation PDF that we uploaded. And then we're going to click submit and let Canva do most of the heavy lifting. Now, this is going to take a few moments. And after it's processed for a few moments, it's going to create us an overview here based off of that presentation. And here you can see the objective 1, objective 2, objective 3, and whatnot. It's given us all of this information. It's been a real nice summary in sort of a textual layout of what we would like our infographic to look like. And then down here it asks, would you like Canva to create a visual layout suggestion? And we're going to type, yes, please create an infographic. And after about a minute, it gives us an update and tells us that Canva's still working on it, polishing up some details and putting some things together so you can see that it's working. Maybe you can grab a cup of coffee while this is processing. And then after about another 30 seconds or so, it provided me with several options for a infographic. And if we click on these here, we can see that it gives us these options all blocked out. And we can look at different ones, and we can kind of decide, okay, maybe which one of these is going to work the best. Which of these do I like more or less than the others? And this is really where it's up to you. If you would like it to create more designs, you can ask it to create more designs because maybe you just don't like any of these. But you can see that it gives you quite a few good options here, and it's created for us already sort of a base infographic. Now, this is going to be okay. Now, it is AI, so you need to make sure that you're double checking all of the information. Is this actual information proper? Now, look at this image. Notice how the words up here are all messed up. It's incomprehensible. None of this information here is actual usable data. So AI kind of did what is called an AI hallucination in this case, and it created some false data or just made some stuff up in order to provide what it thinks that we needed, and so it made some mistakes there. But what we've done here is we've gotten a good idea graphically of what we could possibly do. And then what's nice is that we can come through here and provide some edits. Now, one caveat is that if you use too much of this AI feature, you will be limited out. So notice here, if you go over your monthly limit, it will ask you to upgrade your plans. So do not spend too much time on this. This is intended to be a quick and easy project that shouldn't take much more than an hour max working on this, and I would say much less than that. But since we have a couple of decent designs here, let's just grab one of these and go with it. And so I personally, I kind of like the looks of this one. I like how it's separated and spread out, but I like how these two provide us with some statistics that would be a little bit more of what I'm looking for. So there again, it's just your own personal preference. Do you like sort of this segmented look, or do you like the way that this is presented with the statistics that are listed here? I'm going to go with this one just for the sake of this tutorial, but of course you can go in any direction that you want to. So from there, I'm just going to come up to this top button here and say Use Canva Editor, and that's going to open up the editing platform. So now that we're pulling in this AI generated infographic, now it's up to me to personally adapt it and to make sure that it is going to be proper for use in class or in public. And so a few things we can do here. One, like if I look at this picture, I'm probably going to say that's not a vibrating mesh nebulizer. I'm not sure what's going on with that picture, but that's something that AI generated, and most likely another hallucination. The other thing you'll notice is that it did not include any citations. It did not include any references here either. So we're going to have to add those in. So having your presentation handy is going to be useful because we're going to be able to use this information within our infographic as we start moving around. But the first thing I want to do here, because there are no citations, I'm going to come in and increase the size of the image so that I can look at it a little bit more clearly. And so you've got this slider down here that you can do that with, or you can use keyboard shortcuts. But I want to make this section down here a little bit larger because I want to add some references for the citations that I'm going to be using. So I'm just going to move some of this information around, and it's all drag and drop. You can see I'm just clicking on areas and then using the handles to drag these items around. So I'm just going to increase the size of this and then move this up. I want my references to go in this area, so I'm going to come up to my presentation and grab my references. And I'm just going to copy those. So you can either right click and hit copy, or you can do Control or Command C on your keyboard for a shortcut in order to copy that information. And then I'm going to double click on my text here and then Command or Control V to paste that information in there. Or you could right click and hit paste as well. Okay, so once I've got all of this in here, I'm just going to double click inside and drag all of my text in there because it's a little bit too big. I don't want it to take up that much space, so I'm going to shrink it down. That looks pretty good. And then I'm going to move that down, and I'm going to add a second text. I want to put the word references right here. So I could just go in here and type references, but I want to make it a new box. So I'm going to take advantage of the box that I already have. In fact, I might grab this item here. So notice how when I click on this, all of these items are grouped. But if I click ungroup, it ungroups those items. So I just want this item and I want to duplicate it. So I'm going to hit this plus button, and then I can just drag it down here. And then I'm going to change that text to say references, just like that. And see how I sort of graphically made that work? I'm just going to drag this around and notice the pink line that's right in the middle. That's telling me I'm centered on my page. And so I think that looks pretty good. So I'm going to leave that there. Now, again, we talked about this picture and said, well, we're not really sure what's going on with this image. So here, once I'm clicking on this image, notice it says Ask Canva. And I can go in here and click on that and say Ask Canva. And I want it to make an image. And I wanted to make an image of a vibrating mesh nebulizer. Now, up here in the corner, it tells you that Canva is thinking, and it's going to be creating that image. Now, alternatively, you could just come up here into your presentation. So once I found the image that I want from my presentation, I can just right click and hit copy. Then go back over to my Canva and hit paste. And notice once I pasted it, it doesn't show up on here. But over here, if you click on your uploads section, you can see it actually brought it in here. Okay, and then from there, I can just click on it and it's going to bring it right into my file. And then I can drag and drop it right where I want it and change the size in order to be, however I want it to be. Okay, now maybe this isn't ideal, right? It's having to stretch it out quite a bit, but you can mess with that a little bit and get whatever it is that, the look that you want to get. The point being is it's easy to bring in other images straight from your presentation. The other option would be to go back up here and see what the AI generator made for you. But I just find it easier to use the images I already have for my presentation. But if you want to play around with the Canva AI features, you can do that, but know that that also uses some of your AI allotted material for your free plan. So I wouldn't use that too much, otherwise you're going to run out of that free material for using AI. Okay, so now let's come back down here, and I'm going to zoom back in. Now I've got my references section. I've got a decent image here. I don't really like this is just a good overview of what's being said in my presentation, which is fine, but I would rather have this be a class announcement. And so I'm just going to add some text here that's going to announce the date. So I'm going to write something like, and that's, again, just general some information. Now I want to change the way this looks a little bit. I don't mind the black, but I would rather have it stick out a little bit more. So I'm going to choose a white color for that. And I would like it to be centered. So I'm going to do the alignment over here to center that. And notice that there's all kinds of text adjustments over here. I can bold it, I can underline it, I can italicize it. I can do all sorts of things here. So don't have to get too wild to do whatever you'd like to in this. But again, just showing you the powerful aspects of what Canva can do for you as far as graphic design and make it real easy. I'd kind of like to make this part a little more stand out. And so I'm going to put a underline right there on there. Okay, so I think that looks pretty good. Let me zoom out just a little bit. Okay, so I like the way that looks. Let's move up a little bit. And so here's some percentages, and this is where a good idea, like this is where you could put your 3 objectives and some of the information for that. And I'm not going to spend too much time here. I just want to kind of show you some of the options that you have and how to mess with these items and change them. But I don't want this video to get too long. So what I'm going to do is notice that like I've got the percentage here. I want to ungroup these items, but then it tells me a good overview, but then it basically just repeats it. And so I just don't need that. That's too much. So I'm going to get rid of these areas, and that's going to make some more room for me. And then I'm going to move this up a little bit. And then if I hover and drag over all of these, I can pull all of them up, which works really good. So let's say that this is all information from objective 1, but then I want to make some kind of separation here. Let's go over here to elements, and on the elements here, I can see things that I've recently used, or I can browse different categories. Now notice when you do browse the categories, there are going to be some here that still have the little crowns on them. And so they're going to be premium only. Again, make sure that you're using those that don't have the crowns. That way you don't have to worry about all of that. But look at all the nice, cool types of images that you could add into here. And so this one jumped in, and it's actually white. You can see it there, but I can easily change what that looks like. I can change the color of that. And so if I just come up here and click what color I would like that to be, all of a sudden I've changed that to a different color. And so you can just kind of see how easy it is to add items here. Now, I would really like something, like I said, to make some separation here. So I'm going to go back to elements, and I really like using this line, and then I can just drag it out like that and make a little bit of a separation line there. There we go. That looks really good, and you can adjust it to be as wide or as not wide as you want. And then, if I wanted to do something similar, I could basically select all of this and then copy, come down here and paste it. And then I've got a duplication, and then all I have to do is come in and edit all of this material, okay? So I don't really want to do that in this case, so I'm just gonna do Control Z or Command Z to get rid of that. But that's just an idea of how you could do that. And then you've got all this room here to add information for another objective. Now this section I do like. It's pretty nice as I continue to move up. It's just kind of like the main summary. What do I want the people that are walking by this poster to learn? But I don't like how it takes up so much space. So I'm kind of going to move it just a little bit, and then look how much space that gives me here to bring this up. And now I have even more space to add more information down here for future objectives. Now I might want to add an image. This is a really nice image, okay, but ooh, it's really, really big. Look how it just took up the whole space. Well, that's no problem. I can just shrink it down. Again, just drag and drop everything here. I'm gonna shrink it way down, even more than that. And then I'm gonna drag it up here because I kind of like this look where it overlaps just a little bit of my bar. And so use your creativity here. Press it a little bit. I kind of like that look there. Not everybody will, but I like how it hangs over just a little bit, but it doesn't really affect my text too much. If I want to, I can move this over just a little bit more. There we go. So, I really like the look, and I'm kind of going to stick with that. Now, one thing is, I'm not really sure about this, okay? This doesn't really speak to medical to me. So I think I would rather use something like this medical briefcase over here. So shrink that down. Let me get rid of this. I'm just going to click on it and delete it. Now this is kind of speaking more of the language that I want to present. Now, what if I want to make it a little bit more based off of my presentation? So I'm going to go back over here to uploads, and this was one of the images that I used in my presentation. So I'm going to bring that up here as well. And then I haven't used this one yet, so let's bring this in to talk about, to make it really clear that it's going to be about vibrating mesh nebulizers. So remember that this was the text that Canva provided for me, effective treatment for COPD. I'm going to put vibrating mesh, or maybe VMN just for short, treatment for COPD. And I can change that. Of course, I could just type vibrating mesh or whatever I wanted into that. I can change the size of this. Do whatever you need to here to make it look like the way you want to look, okay? And then this is kind of the big take-home point here. 60% lung deposition rate, okay? And so my question for you is, did Canva make that up with AI, or is that part of your your presentation? So double check what Canva's providing for you. Again, the whole focus of using AI here via Canva is just to get you started. Now you could easily use a template if you wanted to, like I showed at the very beginning of this tutorial, but AI with Canva kind of gets us a little bit closer and can hopefully shave some time off of this for you. So once again, I'm just going to come down here. I'm going to use this line that I already created. I'm going to duplicate it and drag it up. Just add a little bit of separation here. And I might actually do that one more time just to give me some separation here. I kind of look the way that block looks. And then I've got all of this here. I might move it up just a little bit too. And then I could add something else here if I want to. I don't want to get too busy though. I want this to be something that when you walk by it, you just notice this. This jumps off the page and it draws me in. And then as I'm drawn in, I get into some more of these details. Now, what about your citations? Well, that's going to be pretty easy. I could just double click in here and then hit whatever number of citation I have. So let's say it's number 3 in this case, okay? So there we go. I've just cited number 3 here. If you want to make it stand out some more, you could hit bold on it, or you could do an underline on it. I don't believe Canva gives you a superscript option, but there's things like this that you can do in order to just make this a little bit easier. So again, here, I could take that same number 3, put it there, quickly do a bold and underline on it. And it's going to denote that is your citation. All right, well, let's zoom out a little bit. So I like the way that this is looking. I'm going to stop there because I would add more here for my other objectives within my presentation and my lesson plan. But just for the sake of keeping this sort of shorter, it's already getting long. I'm going to stop there, and I'm going to show you then how to download it. Just click the share button, come over here and click download. And then up here it gives you a bunch of different file types. So you could do a PDF, you could do a PNG, or a JPEG. JPEG is going to be really easy for working to email it, to text it, to upload it. So let's do that. You don't want to adjust these at all, because if you go any higher than this, but it will ask you to upgrade. And then I'm just going to click download, and it just immediately starts downloading your JPEG. So here you can see my completed JPEG of my infographic. Okay, so that's basically all you would need to know. Like, I do recommend that you play around with what else you have in Canva over here on the sidebar. You've got all kinds of things. You can add text, different headings. You can do type fonts. all kinds of different things here just to add these in really quickly, right? I mean, you can see how nice that looks and how quick and easy that was. And then you can adjust that and make it, whatever you want it to say, right? So just something like that. So just super easy to do and very, very powerful. Remember, you have uploads, so you can add all kinds of stuff into your folders and then bring them over. And you don't have to rely only on their elements here that they do have. They do have a ton of elements here that are really good for what you want to do, and you can search up here based off of anything you want. But I mean, this just works great, right? I mean, you can do all kinds of stuff here. And then look, I think I want that above the text, so I can just hit position here, come over here and say I want to bring that to the front. And look, now the stethoscope is on top of the lettering in case that's the look you're going for. You can also fool around with animations or transparencies. Like let's say I want that to kind of blend in a little bit. So you could see just how much versatility you have with all of these tools within Canva. All right, class, I know that went a little bit long, but I hope that guides you through making that Canva infographic. If you have any other questions, please shoot me an email, and I'm happy to help with any of the design features or issues that you're running into while making that infographic. But don't spend too much time on it. Again, the whole reason that I'm showing you the AI is to kind of stretch you a little bit with that technology to let you see its power, but also let you see its limitations, because it's going to provide you with some information that's not going to be accurate, like what we saw today. And it's going to be up to you to responsibly use it and adjust it for our purposes. Thanks a lot, class. Make it a great week, and I'll see you online.